Hello, ho. So this morning we are going to chat through how to fix your knee pain. So we're first going to run through some limiting beliefs that you might have around your knee pain. So that's really important to fix. And then we're going to jump into a really simple example lower body strength session that you can do in the gym to work around your knee pain, but also start to build some strength in the right areas and reduce it as well. So the first kind of belief we want to look at is, well, two big ones really, is this thing around MRI scans and surgery. So when you get knee pain, depending on what's happened, it's either important to go get an MRI scan or it's not. So more than likely, if you've got knee pain from something that is very sudden and traumatic, for example, like you're playing rugby or you're playing football and someone chops into you from the side and they take out your knee and you're in agony and it's getting worse and worse and worse and there's loads of swelling, it's probably a good idea to go get this scanned. Anything like that where something sudden has happened. But if you've been dealing with knee pain for a long period of time, so 6 months, 3 months, or years and years, and your knee pain is only affected by the activities you do, and it's aggravated by particular things, but it's not really getting that much worse, then I don't think you need to get an MRI scan. And the reason for that, which I touched upon in one of my previous lives, is that more pain on the scan, more damage on the scan, on the MRI scan, doesn't equal more pain. So even if you've got quite a bit of damage at your knee and maybe there's some damage to your cartilage or other bits and bobs, we all get damage as we get older to certain parts of the body, especially if you're quite active and you walk a lot or you play sports. And this might not necessarily correlate with pain. So just be aware of that. The next thing to talk about is surgery. So again, if you've got something that's happened suddenly and you've done damage to a ligament like your ACL, MCL, or even meniscus, if it's quite bad, sometimes surgery can be a good option. But what a lot of people don't understand is surgery isn't a quick fix. So, for example, the rehab time to fix an ACL, anterior cruciate ligament, the ligament at the front of your knee, is about a year, 9 to 12 months currently. And for other ligaments, it's not quite as long, but it's still quite a few months. And then for meniscus, it can depend. So just be aware that it's not a quick fix, and you're still going to have to put a lot of effort into rehab after your surgery. The next thing to mention is pain isn't simple, especially with knees. And so there'll obviously be a list of activities that cause you pain. So with a lot of people, 99% of people with knee pain, bending your knee will be painful. And potentially doing activities like running, walking, squatting. So activities in certain ranges or activities where you have a lot of impact, they'll aggravate your knee as well. But other factors that can influence pain, your list of previous injuries, potentially. So any hip injuries, any ankle injuries on that same side or on the other side of your body, your sleep, your nutrition, your general beliefs around how to fix your injury. So for example, if you think that getting a massage or getting some tape stuck on your knee is going to fix it, then more than likely you're not going to engage with the approach that I'm about to kind of go through, which is an exercise-based one. Look at improving your mobility, strength, and confidence. The reason none of the hands-on stuff works in the long term, so like massage and taping, is because it's giving you some short-term pain relief to the area around your knee, but it's not actually fixing the things that matter and the things that are going to get you back to doing that activity or sport that you love doing. And that would be improving your mobility, improving your strength, improving your confidence, and making sure you can tolerate the loads that you need to, especially if you're getting back to a decent level of sport and you're quite active. They're all the main kind of beliefs I want to run through. Actually, one more. Are you doing too much too soon? So this is another thing to look out for, and it's that increase in the amount you're doing an activity or the amount you're training. So again, if 1 week you're doing, let's say this is a simple example, 1 5-mile run on week 1, but then on week 2, you go to a 7.5-mile run or you go to a 10-mile run, the increase is too big. your body won't be able to adapt to the stimulus properly, and more than likely this can cause pain in a lot of cases. So that's another thing to bear in mind, that with training or just activities, if you're starting to do a lot more walking or hiking, something like that, you want to increase the amount you're doing it very gradually, week by week, to make sure you kind of limit the risk of injury there. So I've got a sample session of exercises for your knee pain. So the first thing we're going to do is a foam roller bridge to target the hamstrings and calves. So you're going to lie on your back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor, and you'll know this position because it's almost like you're just going to do a body weight glute bridge, but we're not going to do that. Then you're going to get a foam roller, and you're simply going to put your feet on top of it. So your feet are flat on the foam roller, your bum's still on the floor. Then you're going to gently tuck your pelvis. So your lower back is flat into the floor, and you're going to lift your bum about 1 centimeter off the floor. In this position, you're just going to hold it, and your hamstrings and calves will be working really, really hard in this position. Make sure, again, your hips stay really, really low and they're close to the floor, and your feet stay flat on the foam roller. It's not a glute bridge, so not shooting our hips really, really high. You could do 3 sets of about 45 to 60-second hold on that. That's going to actually get the knee bending, and it's going to build some hamstring strength, build some calf strength, which is really important, and it's also going to desensitize the area as well. The next exercise is a single leg extension hold. So if you have a leg extension machine in your gym, which you should do, it's the one that you go and sit in, and then you sit down on it, you pop your leg in, and then the action is straightening your leg. But if you've got knee pain, this can be quite painful to do the active movement. So all we're going to do is we're going to do some holds in that top position. So you're going to go on to quite a lightweight to start with. You're simply going to fully extend your leg, fully straighten your leg into that top position. And I want you to do 3 sets of a 45-second hold in that top position. And obviously on your stronger leg, you can do heavier holds, or potentially you could do some active movements if you only have pain on one side. So just to clarify, it's a single leg hold. 3 sets of 45 seconds, increase the weight, make this more challenging. And then week by week, month by month, as you get stronger in that top position, then you can increase the amount of knee bend on the hold by simply lowering your leg. So instead of starting in that top position where your leg's straight, you could maybe go to like a 60-degree knee bend, and then all the way down to a 90-degree knee bend. And then before you know it, on that weaker and injured side, you can then start doing active reps on the leg extension, which is really going to help build up your quads, which is a big part of helping your knee pain. The next exercise I would go with, is a hinging movement. So something like an RDL or a hip thrust to build your glutes especially. So RDL, very simple. A lot of you will have done this before. Standing on 2 legs, you can use a barbell or some dumbbells, slight knee bend. You're going to send your hips back, and you're going to let the barbell or the dumbbell simply slide down your thighs till about your knee, loading your glutes, and then you're going to squeeze your glutes, come back up to that top position. Hip thrust is, again, most people have done that. So set up for that, lying on your back. You can have a bench in the middle of your back or slightly on your upper back, barbell in your hips, knees bent, feet under your knees, and then squeezing your glutes from the floor up into that top position. And I want you to do 3 sets of 8 reps on a hinging movement here. And with all these exercises, just resting as long as you need to between sets. So for most people, that's going to be between 60 to 90 seconds. The next movement is a calf raise. Calves are incredibly undertrained in the lower body and are really important for knee health. So here I want you to do 3 sets of 5 reps on each side. And I only want you to go from a stretch to a neutral position with a calf raise. And all that is, if you do a calf raise off a bit of elevation, so you stick a plate on the floor, and then you have half of your foot on, half of it off, that stretch position will be the very bottom of the calf raise. And then as you push up and you get to this position, that's neutral. So I only want you to do that because that's the hardest part of the calf raise, and you'll build a lot of strength and muscle mass there. The easiest way to overload this is either with a dip belt around your waist, like you would do on dips or chin-ups, put some weight in there, or to use a Smith machine or a barbell on your back to load this heavy enough. Then I would go on to a cable adduction. So looking to train the muscles on the inside of your knee, inside of your hip, your groin, which is really important in stabilizing the hip and is important for helping fix your knee pain. So if you've got a cable machine, this is going to be easiest. And then you want to get the attachment, which will just fit around the bottom of your leg. So it's just like a little strap. You want to move the cable attachment right to the bottom, put the little strap around your leg, and then very simply, you're going to put the little strap around your outside leg, and then adduction is just moving your outside leg towards your center of mass, so towards your body. So imagine these two things on my legs, hands on my legs. This is the inside leg, this is the outside leg. Outside leg has the cable attachment, and the resistance is pulling me that way. I'm just going to pull in like that, standing straight up. Let's see if I can actually get it on camera. So from here, I'm going to imagine that's my outside leg. The cable attachment is on there, and I'm pulling the opposite way. So I'm pulling that way. And I want you to do 2 sets of 15 reps here on each side. The final exercise I would look at is just some sort of core variation to train your abs. So you can either do a sit-up, you could do a seated sit-up, you could do an incline sit-up, or you could do some sort of side bend to train your obliques and the muscles on the side of your core. So you could do a standing side bend where you use a barbell in your hand and you're reaching down like this. So like that, with just a barbell or dumbbell in this hand. Or you could do an incline one where you're lying on a bench and you're just letting your torso fall off and then bring it back up to that top position. So that's a sample session. And to start with, I'd give that to someone and tell them to do it 2 to 3 times a week, no more than that. And that session is probably going to take you 25, 30 minutes. So you can see from that, it's not a lot of time per week. It's just more about what you're actually doing in those sessions. And obviously, to make all the exercises more challenging, you can increase the amount of time you're holding them for, or you can increase the weight on a lot of these exercises. From there, then I would kind of reassess the person, make the exercises more challenging, and start to bend the knee more and more and more until we can get you to full range of motion with that knee bend and start to get you back to other things like jumping and changing direction. Any questions, drop them down below. If you're interested in 33 days of game-changing advice to help fix your injury, just check out the top link down below. And yeah, take care. I'll see you guys tomorrow morning.